Canute the Great was seen by his people as so awesome he could command the tides of the sea to go back, but he knew his limitations. So he had his deck chair carried to the seashore and sat there as the tide came in.
Stop! Go no further! See, my people, no man is God. Even I cannot stop the sea.
Alas, King Canute fell ill with the common cold. But his example showed the need for building sea defences to protect the bucolic pastures, fertile lands, villages, towns and economic well-being of the people living along the coastline. East Anglia, the farm of Britain, has always been under attack from its ancient enemy, the sea. But now, more than ever before, storm tides threaten to flood great swathes of important landscape filled with agriculture and communities where people live and work. Their produce and their fishing fleets have always helped to feed the nation. Its ports shipped grain and famous malt to the breweries of Dickensian London. Charles himself could not resist a pint or two.
Now that is a fine pint of Adnams, Pip.
What does it taste like?
Quiet. Drink your orange juice.
But, over the years, while the rest of the country enjoyed the countless goods brought to them from East Anglia, the coastline hasn't fared so well.
No man can stop the sea.
Tide will have its way.
Remember Dunwich?
20,000 souls
Perished in a single night.
20,000.
That's terrible.
But it's just a small Suffolk fishing village.
Small fishing village.
Not always, my dears. No. Time was, Dunwich was as big a city, big as port as London itself.
Bigger London.
400 houses, shops, windmills and churches, you name it.
600 years ago, biggest swell the North Sea's ever seen. Swept it all away, even gone.
If you're out fishing on a quiet night, you can still hear the church bells are ringing and the cries of the lost souls coming up from the seabed.
You're doomed if you stay in these air parts.
But why does the East Coast suffer from erosion so dramatically? Since the last ice age, tides, winds and tectonic plates shifting.
You what?
Well, there's lots of different reasons for coastal erosion. First of all, on this coast we've got very soft cliffs. We've also got sea level rise, which is happening naturally all over the planet, but also some people believe it's being accelerated by climate change. And also we've got a bit of a double whammy on this coast, which is that we're sinking in East Anglia and Scotland is rising, so we've got like a seesaw effect.
Coast and sea are like two lovers needing each other, but when one tries to dominate, it's more than just a tiff. The romance between the sand and the sea is over.
The sea is eroding our coast, no argument. But is the contest over? What can we do?
The big issue is, should we spend money on defending the coast to keep land and homes and places that people love and own for 50 or 100 years longer?
What we've been asked to do is to look at where defences in future, where we may find it difficult to justify spending money. So we are looking at the defences and saying, where do the most people live, where are the most properties at risk, infrastructure, main roads, things like that, and obviously that's where we've got to focus funding.
But is that complacent and one-sided? The coast belongs to everyone in the land, so who decides whose property gets protected and whose doesn't?
The government, of course.
No! 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 No, it's quite clear that your house does not score enough points to have a sea wall put up in front of it. No! No! Well, that's tough. Well, I'm sorry if your house is about to fall into the sea. There's very little we can do about it. There's no money. Well, I'm sorry, we're all fresh out of miracles today. I'm sorry. You don't score enough points. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry if your value of your house has gone down to £1. We can't protect everyone. It's called managed retreats. Making space for water. Yes, dear. I think a takeaway tonight, dear. No, I'm not having a laugh. I'm not gulled any more than King Canute was.
If we do make space for water, government speak for letting the sea in, it's not just hundreds of homes and businesses at stake. Huge areas of productive farmland will be lost forever. At a time where we need to be self-sufficient in food, that's crazy.
And how do you put a price on the heritage East Anglian coast, its thriving tourist industry and unique natural habitats?
Okay, now can anyone tell me what SSSI stand for?
Sites of special scientific interest?
Well done, John. Now can anyone name one near here?
Sizewell Nuclear Power Station, sir?
No.
The Science Museum London, sir.
No.
Portland Road, sir.
No.
Norfolk?
No.
The Cut in Halesworth, sir.
No.
Connie, sir?
You will all stay behind and write 100 times Minsmere Bird Reserve.
Oh, sir!
It's difficult really to put into context quite how important it is. In Britain, it's one of the most important nature reserves in the entire country. So we have over 200 reserves in the UK, and Minsmere has the highest diversity of any of our sites. So it's incredibly important.
If nothing is done to protect this natural but vulnerable defence, the RSPB are working on a strategy to provide a new habitat. But at what cost?
So we're trying to work out how long it's going to take for the sea to move in, for the saline habitats to be created, and in that period create new freshwater habitats for the birds that have lost their habitat here at Minsmere to move into.
So it would seem natural to expect the RSPB to be in favour of man-made sea defences to keep the sea at bay, but they do have a balanced view as to what may be practical.
As the sea comes in, new habitats will be created, and coastal lagoons, shingle ridges, they're all very important for wildlife as well. So where we'll lose a few species, or some of the species range will contract within the reserve, new habitats will be created, a new interest will occur, and that's all part of the natural change on the coast.
The whole issue is not as simple as it first looks. If we want to avoid the devastating floods that were experienced in 1953, then action is needed. However, clearly the same response cannot be applied to every part of the coastline. But who will be responsible for defining these responses? the environment is of most concern to young people who will inherit the consequences of the choices we make today.
Coastal erosion? What's that?
Well, it's about the sea.
Well, whatever it is, I don't care about it. Me neither.
I care about coastal erosion. We all live near the sea. We'll all be affected by coastal erosion. Why can't we do something about it? You should be interested in it. It'll affect you.
Enough!
Actually, I care about coastal erosion.
Yeah, me too. I was only joking earlier.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about it. I know lots about it.
Okay, some were getting the message, but others carried on as if there was nothing to worry about at all.
Mummy, I've caught a crab!
Lovely, but just make sure you don't fall in.
Let me see! What, no fair? I haven't caught one and I've been trying for ages.
Mummy, will it bite? Of course it won't, silly.
Not everyone decided to stroll around while the land disappeared. In fact, some of us decided to do a bit of research and see what we could discover. It soon became apparent that we weren't totally at the mercy of nature. It seems like some of this mess could be our own doing.
It is the dredging of millions and millions of tons of sand and gravel off our coastline, which is causing the seabed to deepen. It's 5 metres deeper now off parts of East Anglia. This means bigger waves. This means more erosion.
Britain is the only EU country without a policy on dredging for aggregate. Vast profits are made from sand and gravel for the construction industry.
For Britain?
Well, not exactly, Rebecca. Yes, roads, runways, the new Olympics Games Stadium, nuclear power stations, they will all be built on gravel sucked from our coastal seabeds.
So the sea, it gets deeper, the waves, they get bigger, and the natural sand drift that supports our beaches and protects the fringe coastline gets sucked into sea.
Exactly. Massive profits are made, but none of it goes towards protecting anyone against the sea.
That's not actually true, Molly. The Dutch buys 30% of our concrete materials to build their own sea defences to protect their lands and homes.
And that's still not all. Over to our reporters in Lowestoft.
Once a thriving fishing port with a fleet of trawlers, Lowestoft, that once helped to feed the nation, is now a marina for posh yachts or support ships for offshore oil platforms.
Offshore dredging has destroyed fish spawning grounds. You'd be lucky to catch a tiddler out there.
100 miles over there is the Dutch coast, protected from the sea by concrete, made from stone and sand taken from our seabed.
Yeah, we Brits are good at irony, and that's about as ironic as it gets.
Or as moronic as it gets. We lose good fishing grounds, and the Dutch, who do not allow dredging, have a defended coastline and a healthy fishing industry.
Cod and chips, anyone?
Back to studio.
But this is only one side of the argument. Companies that dredge off our shores admit that in other parts of the world, dredging is the cause of coastal erosion. But here they believe they are part of the solution, not the problem.
We're dredging licensed areas between 8 and 35 kilometres offshore, and then they're in water depths of between around 20 and 40 metres, so they're well away from the coastline. However, we do, as part of the work we do, make available sands and gravels for coastal defence. So we dredge offshore in licences that are in no way connected to the coastline, and we're able to land sand and gravel on the beaches to help defend the coast.
We haven't been shown any evidence, that's not to say it's not true, but we haven't been shown any evidence that makes us think that offshore dredging is reducing the sandbanks and things out there.
But it's easy just to point the finger and blame coastal erosion on others. During their research, some people discovered the crisis that was staring them in the face.
Check this out, guys. The UK's carbon footprint is over 500 million tonnes of CO2 per year.
And individuals account for 45% of this.
What? You mean us? Flippin' it.
So, we're causing climate change?
Well, yeah, us and 7 billion others.
Young people absolutely are in control of what's happening because the issues around climate change are about our lifestyles and about the way we live. Being dependent on carbon as an energy source, having, I guess, high energy lifestyles. So it's about ways that we can change our lifestyles that can really change the causes of climate change.
So the obvious answer is, do something. We can all have an impact on global warming, which is currently pushing sea levels up to crisis point.
Do you really need to buy all those things on your plate? Cut out food miles. Do we really want green beans from Kenya or bottled water from miles away?
And we all know about recycling, but you can recycle more than bottles, card and jars. What about clothes?
And take a moment before driving or getting a lift. Do you have to make that journey? Could you walk or ride?
And if 10 countries in the EU switched off all those stupid standby lights on their gadgets, it would save the output of 9 power stations.
If we made a real impact on global warming, then the polar ice would stop melting and the sea levels would stop rising, and then we could all enjoy our coast for a lot longer.
But while we're all going about our lives with more thought for the environment and waiting for the sea levels to fall, there is stuff we can do in the short term.
My, the sea does look close today. Maybe we should do something to stop it. Beautiful day for some sea wall building. Off you pop. We'll see you on the beach. There we go now. All we need is a good spot. That looks good. Now start piling that sand. Come on, you need to put some more effort in. Still needs some work. Remember, you still have to cook dinner as well. There we go. Nearly done. Well done, that gal. Within a few hours, all of you at home can hope to achieve something like this. All you need is a bit of luck. Remember, keep watching the seas.
One man watched it all the time, and when 14 houses had been swallowed up by the sea, he thought that was enough and started his own protection work to stop his house falling as well.
Many people have argued about, but I've held that it is my right to protect my home and to protect the homes of my neighbours. The effect of that is that in the year of 2000, summer of 2002, late summer, I got on with major works, which meant by the spring I got 28,000 tonnes of material into place on the beach to sacrifice instead of the cliffs. Again, this functioned very well, but it upset bureaucracy to a certain extent because the powers that be had decreed that it was impossible to do anything about protecting the land here and that the cost was too much for anyone, and I had succeeded in doing it on my own part without relying on government grants or anything like that. It made a lot of people look rather ridiculous.
And when another group of villagers saw their sea cliff disappearing at an alarming rate, they decided they didn't want what happened at Dunwich to happen to them. They formed a trust and raised enough money to build a massive sea defence using natural rocks. Thousands of acres of farmland, their houses, and yes, a famous Martello Tower were saved from falling into the sea. It took about 12 years, but boy, it was worth it.
The real gain in raising this money has been that we have saved hundreds of acres of farmland behind us. We've saved all the infrastructure which would have been at risk for the local communities. And by infrastructure, I mean roads, water pumping stations, electricity substations, all of which were at risk from flooding. So an immense amount of private property and commercial property has been saved in the same way.
I think what we need to do is we need to find local solutions with the local communities and the individuals that are affected.
I hope what we're going to do is to get a kind of partnership between government on the one hand and the locality on the other. So we do what we can do, and the government then tops up where we can't.
So it seems that you can do stuff. You don't have to wait for the government, the council, teachers, or this film to tell you.
Hundreds of years ago, the locals on the coast bundled sticks together and planted marram grass. The sand builds up, the grass grows through, and in no time, a DIY dune as big as a house. Try it. It's great fun, and a natural sea defence as well.
So the question remains, should we let the sea in? Do we let those communities that have survived and thrived for hundreds of years go to the sea? Is the money, time and effort required worth saving the homes, farmland, businesses and scenery? If it was your community, would you walk away? And that seems to be the bottom line. The East Coast is everyone's community, because the question will always be, where do you draw the line?
There are clearly many avenues we need to explore. New technologies that may offer cheaper and more effective sea defence than sea walls are being developed in other parts of the world.
Oi! You can't do that there!
Oh, yes, we can!
We need to take action against global warming now, and we need to take control of our environment and not expect others to do all the work. This coastline could lead the way, globally, in terms of the fight against flooding. What we do here could inspire other parts of the UK and beyond.
Or we can stand, like King Canute, watching and waiting as the sea rolls in.